Hey, how's it going? Welcome. I'm Andy from GetFPV here. Here's Karthik. We wanted to show you guys something exciting today, the new DJI Avata system. You may have heard of it. It just got launched today. We wanted to show you guys a quick sneak peek, what it looks like in person here. We have a unit, one of the Pro combos in hand. I wanted to show you a quick kind of unboxing of sorts, showing you what these parts look like in person, get you a sense of size, what you can expect when you buy this set, what's included in it. So let's get started right away. I'm gonna show you first the packaging, which is pretty cool. This is the Pro Combo set, which comes with what, Karthik? This is kind of the everything you'd want if you're starting from nothing, is that right?
Yeah, this is going to give you the drone itself. This will give you the goggles for the video transmission. This will give you a motion controller. That's going to be the way that you're going to control this drone out of box. There is another controller that we do sell that is available and is compatible with this drone, which is the DJI Remote Controller 2. But if you're just getting into the hobby, if you're just getting into drones in general, especially for first-time users, I think the motion controller is going to be a really good, unique perspective at using this drone, especially line of sighting. But yeah, with this kit, you're going to pretty much get everything you need right off the bat to just start flying the cloud.
So those are boring. Those are just the box. We've already done the shortcut for you guys. We're not going to make you sit here and watch us open up every package. But there's a lot of cool stuff in there. We're going to try to show you everything to expect. This right now, this is the drone. Let me try to put it up here closer so you see if it gets in focus for you. It's probably going to stay on our faces. There we go. But this is the drone. This is the DJI Avata, the new HD drone from DJI. Pull this cover off here. You can see it's got the camera up front. This is 3-inch propellers, kind of a ducted style drone, very compact and small, agile. It's got a lot of the things you've come to expect from DJI in terms of fit and finish. Really nice looking, big battery in terms of the size of the drone, so it flies for a long time. Especially if you're in the FPV space, you're used to like 5-minute flights. This thing does 18 minutes, which is kind of incredible for the size. Yeah. So you got the battery on top. GPS unit is here, actually antenna, so it's fully GPS capable. Camera in the front, got a gimbal actually on it, a 1-axis gimbal on the pitch that helps you do different things. You can tilt it down or up, and it can do level mode and other things like that. Prop motors are here with the props downward actually. So props down. It makes it pretty efficient. Yep. Then it also has, you can see the sensors there. So it has downward facing cameras for the sensors that allow it to do auto land, auto takeoff type features, return to home. It can do all of that since it has the downward facing sensors, so it knows how high it is off the ground. And it gives it really cool capabilities for such a small drone, which is impressive. I got to fly one of these a few weeks ago when we had a demo unit, and it was a really cool experience. I flew it with the motion controller. So why don't we show some of what's included in this kit. So this is a combo kit. It comes with the drone that we just showed you there, but it also comes with the goggles, the motion controller, and all the accessories that are included in that. So let me pass these to you. Karthik, maybe you can show off a little bit of what those are. That's the goggle. Here's the motion controller.
Goggle. So here's the motion controller. See if we can get it to focus.
It's gonna be hard to focus here, that small. We can do the top-down camera too if you want to show that.
Yeah, let's give that a shot. So this is the motion controller. Obviously, one-handed use, has all the buttons and toggles that you need to control the drone. I believe it even has the record function for the camera, which is neat that it has these things. But,
yeah, if you guys are familiar with the original FPV drone that was launched a little over a year ago spring, this motion controller was already out at that time. So they actually didn't change the motion controller itself. So it's the same one as before, but now it's compatible with this new drone, and it comes as part of the combo. So this is kind of the prime way that they're wanting to sell it to the customers. It makes it super simple for somebody who's coming to the hobby. New, or maybe FPV drones is something they're not used to. This is very intuitive in terms of how you fly. You're just pulling a trigger for a throttle, and then you're moving your hand left, right, up, down, forward, back, and it takes you maybe about a minute, and then it becomes pretty natural in terms of where I want to go. I want to go forward, back, left, right, and then the sensors and stuff we talked about prevent you from kind of making mistakes. This button was always really popular and cool. I thought that this is the brake button. So if you get in trouble, you just smash that, and
the biggest button there is.
The drone just stops. Wherever it is, it just stops. So if you
Yeah.
ever get out of control, that's kind of your panic button that we call it. The other thing, okay, let's go show
Sure.
the goggle. Yeah, maybe put that down on the top down here.
Sure.
So this is one of the bigger products in terms of the release in our space for FPV. The V2 goggle that has been out for some time has been the go-to kind of HD goggle whenever you're talking about the DJI FPV system. This is the new flagship goggle for DJI FPV. This is called the DJI Goggles 2, not the V2. It's a little bit confusing. There's a DJI Goggles V2, and now there's DJI Goggles 2.
Yes.
The new one is the 2, not the V2. But it has a lot of new features compared to the original goggle, where they've improved on things like size, weight, performance, really across the board.
Across the board, yeah.
Maybe you want to read, a list of some of the
yeah.
features the goggles do. I'll bring this back into the other screen, and I'm going to compare it to the other goggles so you guys can see what that looks like.
Sure. The new goggles are actually 30% lighter than the V2 goggles, and the naming definitely is a little bit confusing. The V1 and the V2s have already been released. The goggles 2 are the new set of goggles. These are the ones that are actually 290 grams, 30% lighter than V2.
I mean, here, check this out. This is the V2.
Yeah, look at the V1.
I have an Axie antenna on there that's aftermarket, but it's about the same size as a stock goggle. Yep. This is the new goggle. I mean, you can see it's like almost half the size. Way less smaller. Deep in terms of how far it would hang off your face too. So real big improvement in terms of size and form factor. They've been able to shrink it down quite a lot, but they didn't really lose any specs in terms of performance. They actually gained.
They gained, yeah.
So what's the screen's like? I think higher resolution.
Yeah.
OLED, right?
Yep. They've upgraded to micro OLED screens now with a 51-degree field of view, which, if you know goggles this size, especially in the FPV market, that is a very substantial field of view to have for goggles this size. And of course, yes, micro LED, 1080p displays, which will, with this new drone, will transmit at 1080p as opposed to the 810 on the older V2 goggles. The new goggles also will have a dual band receiver in them, just like the older V2 goggles, which will work on both 2.4 and 5.8 gigahertz. The FPV feed itself has the same maximum bit rate of 50 megabits per second, just like the V2 goggles. And if I'm not mistaken, let me just make sure that... And yes, and the goggles also do come with their own included 1800 milliamp hour battery, which I believe has about a 2-hour approximate life, which is pretty decent for the size of the battery, and it keeps the weight down of the goggles itself. So obviously, for people in the space that know, when you put the goggles on, even if the goggles themselves are kind of light, the battery will kind of add that weight. But this is a nice, small, ergonomic size battery. Just the same with the goggles, light, very comfortable on the head.
Yep. So this goggle, I think the way they probably have you do it, they give you a cable, some of the accessories that come with the goggles. Let me just show you. So you get a cable that goes from USB-C to the power unit here, which is like a barrel plug. It's got actually like a extension cable that can be stretched. So your goggle could go in your pocket. Yep. If you put a strap on your head, or lots of different places. It's a pretty long cable, so that's how they would have you do the battery. I think this is a strap for the battery itself, to where you can strap that onto something.
Okay.
USB cable that just adapts to USB-A for charging the battery. These look like some protectors that go over the lenses on the goggle if you're traveling. And then this is as well. The goggles themselves, some of the features I want to show you visually to call out. The antennas are different than what you would be used to on the V2 goggle. The antenna now is embedded into the goggle, not an RPSMA connection anymore. They also fold, which is pretty cool. So when they are not in use, you can just fold them down, and it becomes very compact.
Great for traveling.
You don't have an antenna sticking up that you're going to snag on something.
Absolutely.
The other cool feature is, if you actually want to take this off, they literally just pull off.
Oh, wow.
So it's a new connector. It's an MRX connector inside, and you can actually take them on and off. You wouldn't need to unless you're worried about them, or maybe you're replacing them for some reason. But it allows you to take the antenna on and off really easy, which is kind of cool. The optics have been greatly improved over the V2 goggle 2 as well. You can really finely adjust them. And in some cases, if you have glasses, it may even be enough to where you don't need to wear the glasses. Some exceptions like astigmatisms and other things they might not be able to fully compensate for. But what you can do now, you can actually slide. So the IPD, what you're used to, sliding in and out. So you can move depending on how far apart your eyes are to adjust that. But they also have a screw here that allows you to actually change the focus of the lens here for the diopter. And they have well, I guess it's a diopter actually on the outside.
Yep.
That you can go to from +2 to -8.
Yeah.
So depending on your eyes, you might be able to adjust it far enough to where you can come into focus without any glasses or contacts needed. So that's a really cool feature that wasn't in the first ones. The face cover molded really well. This thing actually just pops off. So if you need to replace it, that's an easy thing to do. What do you think about the goggle?
Man, I love these goggles. When you hold them in your hand, you can just tell the shape, the weight of them is really nice. It's you can tell it's gonna feel good when you wear them. I don't know if you guys can see this in the photos, but there's, from what it looks like, good air circulation in here, based off the vents that they have on here. One thing about the IPD adjustments also is it actually has each one of these wheels has a lock, so that you can lock the settings in place so that if you nudge it or if it gets put in your bag, it doesn't get set out of place. So I think that's really cool. One of the things that is a welcome addition, obviously, because a lot of V2 goggle and V1 DJI FPV goggle users used to use these with their glasses because it didn't have these diopter adjustments. So the goggles were bigger. I don't know if that was for that reason, but it was a helpful thing with those goggles that people could wear their glasses with them. But the fact that they incorporated the diopter adjustments from +2 to -8, I think is a really helpful addition.
Yeah. One other feature that's different from the previous goggle is this side panel is actually a touch panel. So it has a little nub here so you can kind of feel where the center is. This is how you control the whole menu inside the goggle. So you can go up, down, left, right, tap, all those kind of
So it's
functions.
a gesture.
Yeah, so there's no button or anything sticking out. It's just touch sensitive. So that's kind of a cool feature.
Cool.
The goggle is a single headband now as well. If you remember, on the other goggle, it kind of had a overhead band, which they got rid of anymore. Be up to you if this were you or not. I'm sure some people will come out with some aftermarket options.
No more messing up your hair.
Yeah. The other thing that is pretty neat is, if you guys remember this controller, this has already been launched last year as well. It didn't have a lot of use because it was only worked for the FPV drone, but now this controller also works with this new system.
Yep.
So if you wanted to fly this with something other than the motion controller, you can. This is an optional accessory. It's not included in the kit. But you can pick up the FPV remote controller too. This works with the DJI Avata, so you could fly it if you're a traditional drone pilot who's used to flying with, sticks, left, right, up, down type thing with throttle control and all that. That's available with that controller now. So that controller became much cooler.
Yeah.
I love the form factor. It was small. It's like essentially like a game controller.
Exactly.
So I think it's a big improvement if you're wanting to fly with the controller versus the motion controller. But you could do both. You can fly with both.
Yep.
Personally, for me, I think both would sound fun. Like if I'm out just cruising or wanting to do something fun with the motion control, share it with somebody who hasn't flown before. That's a great way to start. It's hard to start, with a handheld controller like that if you've never done it before. It takes practice for sure.
Yeah, this one especially. I think I've seen a lot of videos of people for the first time trying to fly a drone, actually picking this up with the older DJI FPV drone and being able to fly it right away. And you can tell it's a unique experience in itself. So even if you are going to get the controller to fly it more traditionally, we still recommend getting this eventually. If you're not going to get it with the combo set and you're going to buy these things separately, we still recommend this because this does, like he said, it adds a unique experience to the whole thing.
Yeah, for sure. The drone itself, this is the battery. Taking it off is very simple. It's just pinches and this whole thing just slides off. Battery charges over USB-C actually. So they give you this adapter plate. This plate, you plug the battery in here and then that converts to here, which is USB-C, and then you could charge it with essentially a phone charger or anything that's normal for charging USB-C type connection. So that's how the battery comes off. That's how it's charged. You can see the drone without the battery. I mean, most of what's on top is the battery, the GPS, and the camera. The guts of the flight control system and video transmission, all that's in the center body, which
Protected.
is pretty incredible, actually, how much
really
they
is.
fit in that small space.
Yeah, most of that drone feels like it's the battery,
They rate this transmission system up to 10 kilometers.
which is wild.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
In a drone this size.
And you know, just based off of older DJI systems, that the image quality is going to be there for that 10 kilometers, which is incredible if you know what type of image transmission this kind of system can.
Someone's asking about more on the battery. It's lithium ion, 2420 milliamps, and 14.7 volts is the nominal voltage. So essentially a 4S lithium ion and about just under 2,500 milliamp hours. Yeah. So a lot of juice in a pack like that in this size, and a smart battery to boot. So it just slides in, and then there's a little plug in the back that you press in that gives it the actual connection to the drone.
Yeah, and the cool thing about the camera system in that quad is that it does, obviously, it's your FPV transmission, and it pretty much seconds as an action camera. This thing has up to 4K 60 frames per second recording, and if I didn't...
that's a good point. So, I mean, you're flying FPV, the live view from that camera,
yes,
but you could simultaneously record
exactly, pretty much
at a higher bit rate, essentially, than what you're seeing live from the same feed.
Yeah, pretty much removing the need for an action camera for everybody that's in this space. Traditionally, we use quads that we can mount an action camera like a GoPro, for example, to be able to get the high definition footage that we can't through the FPV camera. This does both, and what is especially interesting is the maximum bit rate for this is 150 megabits per second. That actually puts this up there with the best GoPros and action cameras that are currently out there. Onboard stabilization, which can be enabled and disabled. You have both Rocksteady, you have both Rocksteady and Horizon Steady, which are both DJI stabilization software that, if you've seen them, they're very good, especially if you're using this. I can see this being a very good option for people that are vlogging, someone that wants to throw a lot of footage onto social media. Mm-hmm. It's just you can get everything very quickly on and off onto the computer. The stabilization's already done while you're flying. So yeah, just an all-around, all-in-one type unit.
Yeah, that's a good point. The same sensor that was in their action camera.
Yes.
So that's why you can do the 4K improve. It's much better in terms of its performance and capability is what a traditional FPV camera that we're used to. Like the camera that can also do FPV.
Exactly.
At low latency, which is incredible too.
And the transmission, if you've seen, it's the video that's coming to the goggles, not just what you're recording onto the memory card. It's incredible. The 1080p that goes through into these micro LEDs is definitely, every time DJI comes out with something, we love to use the words like game changing, but it sets the bar, and it is top notch.
The drone itself comes with a few extras, 2 extra props, one clockwise, one counterclockwise. Honestly, the props are pretty well protected, so in most bumps and crashes, you might be just fine without replacing a prop. Yeah. A hard one, maybe you're going to have to replace a prop. You'll chip something. Sure. There's some videos floating around from other pilots that have already flown this thing and sharing. And they beat it up pretty good, and I've been impressed at actually how durable it was. The plastic seems to be very durable. Yeah. It's not something that just breaks or shatters easily. It seemed to take an impact pretty well. So I wouldn't say it's crash proof, but it's pretty crash resistant.
Yeah, definitely. The plastic doesn't feel cheap whatsoever on any part of this drone. Yeah, it's very nice.
So guys, those of you just joining us, we're going over the DJI Avata drone that just got announced today. In terms of shipping, this is August 25th. It got announced today. It's a pre-order. Combo kits are shipping next week. So I believe around the 30th, the first combo kits will be shipping out to customers. We're taking pre-orders now. So if you get your pre-order in today, you'd be in the first batch, first group that will be shipping out next week. Some of the accessories, there's going to be spare parts for just about everything. Those are getting up on the site later today, and they'll be available in the coming weeks. I think about 2 or 3 weeks, accessories. So you can replace props, replace prop guard, replace motors. They made this thing for the kind of DIY audience to some degree.
Sure.
It's not like you crash it and then it's done. You can repair this to most parts are replaceable. You can get spare batteries, extra batteries if you want to fly it longer, or charge batteries while you're flying your first pack. So just about everything's available as a separate part for this thing, which makes it really cool. The top cage. So it should be something that you can fly for a long time, have fun with, repair if desired, depending on your type of crashing you're doing. Let me share the site real quick just to show you all what we have available today. So this is on GetFPV.com. This is the ProView combo that you see here. That comes with the new goggle, the motion controller, and the drone, the Avata. They also have the Smart Fly combo, which comes with the existing goggle that was already out, the V2 goggle, the same drone and the same motion controller. The reason you may want to do that, they're cutting off a couple $100 on the price. So really that depends on your budget, what you want to look for. That goggle is still a very good goggle, so don't think that you're really missing out on a ton. The new goggle has great features, but if you're a little more price sensitive, this will give you a great experience too. Separately, they sell the new goggle and the motion controller as its own combo, and the drone itself as its own part. So let's say you've already been into FPV, you have this first goggle already because you've been flying drones and flying the DJI system. You could technically buy the new drone and the new controller, and you'd be good to go. You don't need the motion controller to do that. You don't need the new goggle to do that. So they made it backwards compatible in the sense that the existing goggles work with this drone. So if you want to keep your goggles you already have, you don't want to pay for the entire bundle, you could buy the drone, buy the FPV controller, and you're doing the whole thing for about $800.
Yeah.
Instead of paying $1,100. So I've already seen a lot of people order that specific configuration now because they already had the goggle probably.
Yeah.
We sell the goggle by itself. For those of you who want to get the latest and greatest of the goggle, there may be some new things down the road that this goggle will work with. I know it works with the OcuSync 3 system, so that makes it compatible with the Mavic 3
Mini
and
3
a lot
Pro.
of the future things that DJI will be releasing in the next year or so. I'm sure we'll be using that same transmission system. So this goggle will probably be working with a lot of different systems.
Yeah.
Extra batteries here. You can get a combo pack or a single battery. We sell also the Care refresh programs. These are from DJI. Essentially, it's an insurance program that gives you an extended warranty on the system. If you're interested in, you can do that during checkout. I have a backpack. This was released a few years ago for an older FPV system that they reconfigured it for the new one. And it's a nice pack. I mean, if you're in need of a backpack for your FPV system, everything in this combo kit would fit in here easily, and it's a nice way to travel with it. Additionally, they have the ND filter sets. Depending on flying conditions you're in, that might be something you're interested in. By cutting the light a little bit with the ND filter, you can fly in really bright daylight and kind of cut that down. So you're not spare parts that we're starting to see come up in the props, the spare prop guard you might need if you're flying a little more aggressively. So all these are here right now on GetFPV.com for order. They're all in a pre-order state. Stock for the first combos arriving next week. We'll be shipping those out as soon as we get. So, depending on the first batch sell out, we'll have to wait till the second batch comes.
Yep.
But these are all going to be very popular. Just today we launched, and there's been it's cool to see a new product in our space get launched again. And I mean, they launched the FPV drone April or March. So it's been a bit since DJI's kind of had a new product in the FPV space.
It has, yeah, and you can tell too with the introduction of a quad like this or a drone like this. This is obviously to bridge a gap, something that a lot of FPV pilots and just people that have been flying Mavics or any of the DJI drones have been asking for a while. Something that they can use both indoors and outdoors. So having the propeller guards on this quad allows you to do both. The fact that it gives you different flight modes to be able to fly smoothly, with your horizon locked, or you can do full manual so you can fly FPV. Side note, because you brought up the FPV drone, if any of you bought the DJI FPV drone, especially with the combo that got the goggles and the controller, this is this is going to be compatible out of the box because this runs on that same transmission dual band. So if you have the controller, you have the goggles, this will work with it. But like Andy said, we do have those all on the site right now for pre-orders. So
all you'd need is the drone itself, and then you'd be good to go if you want to really explore the new drone. So it's cool that they made that available and compatible with some parts that are already out in the market that many of our customers already have today. Thanks for everyone who joined us live and chatting here. I see a lot of chat. Phantom FPV join us. Hey man, how's it going? We got Wolf in the crowd. Yeah, a lot of these regular guys. Thanks for joining us. We're glad that we were able to show you this new product. I think we're one of the first ones here in the U.S. that have it in hand, and we're really excited to be able to start shipping these out next week to everyone who's got them on order. This was kind of like a Christmas day for me when I got to come into a new product to take a look at and explore. So I'll be excited once I get a little more flight time on these two. I've only flown it once myself, and it was a fun time. Put any questions you might have in the comments. We'll try to get back to you guys later on as well. On the video, we'll have it posted here on YouTube afterwards, so you can reference that if you have any ideas or questions that you want to share there. Reminder too, this is that controller. Additionally, you could buy, if you wanted to do more of the traditional set, combo set comes with goggles, motion controller, of course, the Avata drone, and everything that comes with it.
Yeah, which is still crazy if you look at the size, like the size of your hand, but can fly for 18 minutes, 10 miles away. Or 10 kilometers away.
I mean,
it's just crazy.
When I started, I mean, a mini drone, as small as you'd get, was around 5 or 6 inches maybe.
Yep.
And the capability of what it could do back then was very rudimentary compared to what the technology that's packed into this thing.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't exist. So it's pretty incredible what this can do in this size and the flight time that you get out of it. It does the best at what it does for sure.
Yeah.
And it's a fun drone. So whether you're a beginner, just getting started, it's a good choice. You're a seasoned pilot, you've already been flying for a while. I think this would fill a nice gap for you to have something that's fun, has a few more features than maybe you'd be used to if you're in always like a manual flight mode. And it's a great drone that you could bring out to the field with friends and let them try, especially with the motion controller. So I think it's a really cool way to be able to share FPV and drones with others and give them a real hands-on chance of how to pilot and operate it, where you may not be so willing on your other drone to put it in their hands and know they're going to crash it in 2 seconds.
Yep. Exactly. It could take some abuse, and especially if you're someone that's getting into any type of indoor flight, if you're trying to get into real estate, stuff like that, this is going to be huge for that. A lot of YouTube accounts, a lot of vloggers I see are always trying to find systems like this through FPV where they can get these types of features. This is all built in. It's got the sensors, it's got all the smart features, it's got the range, it's got the resolution. It's literally an all-in-one package. You can fly it outside, inside. You have different controller options. And like Andy said, we're going to only have more things available for it as far as accessories and add-ons. So just keep an eye on the website. We already have all this for pre-order now. But yeah, a lot of cool stuff ahead. This is definitely like I said, it's bridging a gap. So it's gonna bring a whole new suite of cool products.
Yeah, stay tuned, everyone. We'll be back with more stuff in the near future, I'm sure. And once again, DJI Avata drone. Go pick it up. GetFPV.com. We have them right here in the USA, shipping all over the world. So hit us up.